Hi, everybody. It's episode 413 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It's Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. I'm Chris. With me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
It's warm out today, guys.
It is.
It's gross. My air conditioner has kicked on a lot today because of how gross it is out.
Yeah. No, you want to hear some absolute bullshit? I saved this for the show instead of talking about it beforehand. So, this week has just been just one bullshit thing after the other. Yesterday, on my drive home from work, I got a flat tire on 76.
Oof.
Yeah. And it was one of those, like, I'm driving, like, didn't hit anything, like, at least nothing noticeable. Driving on 76, which is always a fucking delight, and my tire pressure sensor thing goes on. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like, wonder why that's happening all of a sudden on a highway. So, like, I flip over, because, like, my dashboard will, like, show me that stuff. I flip over to, like, the page that shows me my tire pressure, and, like, yeah, like, my one tire is, like, down at, like, 32 from, like, 36 or 7 or whatever it's supposed to be. I'm like, okay, like, that's not a big deal. Like, it must have just been low, and it was just, like, it finally caught up with itself, because sometimes it takes a little while. And then, like, I have it up for a minute, and I just watch it keep going down. And, like, goes to, like, 32 to, like, 28, and then, like, to 25, and then, like, to 20. I'm like, oh, this is bad. I'm like slowing down and, like, listening to see if, like, I hear, like, anything. And, like, as soon as it gets under 20, I start looking for, like, the shoulder. Because I was in that stretch of 76 where there's not a shoulder.
Yeah.
So I had to wait till I got there so that I could pull over and actually, like, stop my car. But yeah, I got out and looked and just 100% flat. Luckily, I get AAA through work. So I called AAA. Because I was on the side of the highway and a dangerous highway, the person's just like, all right, we're going to expedite this. Usually it would be like an hour before someone would get out there, but they should be there sooner. It was an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, damn.
But like luckily, like they came out, they swapped me to my my donut real quick, so that was nice and smooth. But like after they pulled the tire off, the one guy like he spun it around and we were looking, like couldn't find anything, like couldn't find a screw or a nail or like an obvious hole anywhere. So I went over to Meineke because Firestone basically told me, like, we have one person and we have no time to look at this for you. Like, there's a Meineke down the street and there's a Pep Boys across the street. Like, you should try them.
Yeah.
So I go to Meineke and the guy comes out like 15 minutes later and he's just like, yeah, it definitely like tore something in the side of the tire. Where like, we can't even patch this. Like, I won't, like, the guy actually said to me, he's like, I will not patch this. Like, if we do and something goes wrong, your whole tire could shred, and, like, I just won't do it. Like, whether you want me to or not, I refuse. I'm like, oh, no, like, that's 100% wouldn't want that. I drive too far for work. Like, I appreciate you not telling me it was fine. So I ended up having to, like, swap cars with my mom, because she only drives across the street for work and never has to go over 40. So, like, it wasn't a big deal if she was on, like, the donut driving, whereas, like, I have to drive on highways that the lowest speed limit is 55.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, not a big deal. Like, I'm going up tomorrow to get the new tire. It sucks, but, like, it is whatever. And then today, a fucking piece of shit UPS driver ran into our fucking fence and then drove away.
And then drove off?
Yeah. Didn't stop or anything. And, like, had my neighbor not been home with her back door open, probably would have never known it happened.
Wow.
Jeez.
Because, UPS should not be, like, they were driving on the alley, like that alley on the side of my house. UPS should not be driving down that. It's not a street. GPS would not take you down that way. That truck is too big. Like, should not have been going that way at all. But my neighbor saw the UPS truck coming down the alley, like, from, like, the waterfront down, like, to, like, our street. Heard a very loud noise as they were, like, coming around the corner. Looked outside and saw them driving away very quickly. And, like, from where she was, she thought that the noise came from the front and, like, was looking and didn't see any damage to the front of the fence. But then, like, later on went outside and actually walked around the side and they, like, basically took out an entire one of the fence posts. Like,
damn.
Jesus.
On the like, the fence is still standing, but, like, on the outside, it's just completely shattered. And, like, if she heard it from inside, there's no possible way a UPS driver with their doors open, because their doors are always fucking open, didn't hear it. Like, the dude did it and then drove the fuck off.
What a douche. I hate people. I really do.
I don't like UPS and FedEx drivers to begin with, because they're fucking, the ones that that do business delivery are usually pretty cool. The ones that do residential are fucking douchebags. They don't give a fuck about anything. Like, the amount of times I've watched them literally throw packages over my fence. Like, they don't even have the fucking decency to, like, lay them down over the fence if they don't want to open it. Like, I've literally watched them just hold the package over the fence and just let it go. It's like, man, yeah, like, they're fucking lazy scumbags.
I growing up with a delivery driver as a father, and he worked for Airborne and DHL, and knowing what goes on with Amazon, I would counter-argue, is it lazy or is it unreasonable timeframes? That they don't have yes, they could just place it.
And that's my problem.
Or they could just drop it and go. Because they have unreasonable time frames that, unfortunately, all delivery services have right now, because the labor sector doesn't care about its employees.
And you know what? Like, that's fine. Like, that I do not pay to get broken, damaged packages, though.
No, you don't. But this person needs to keep their job by delivering X amount of packages a day. And so if, lightly reaching over your fence to put something, I don't excuse the fact that they're dropping it or throwing it, but their mindset is they'll get their insurance or they'll get their money back, and I'll just drop it and go.
Yeah. And that, honestly, like, so I agree. If they were just coming up and, like, leaning over and just kind of like, not throwing it or dropping it, but, like, placing it in the grass, basically, like, just on the other side of the fence. Cool. Mm-hmm. No fucking problems there. Like, you do not have to open my gate and walk all the way up to my house. Like, I tell, like, anytime that we have, like, a different mail delivery person other than, like, our normal guy, and they come up to the house and, like, I'm home, like, I open the door, I'm just like, hey, if you have packages for here, like, just leave them at the fence. Like, lean over, just lay them right inside. Like, it's not a big deal. You don't have to walk all the way up here. It's hot out. Like, you're walking enough. Like, I have no problem with that. That's not what they're doing. Like, I've watched more than one of them actually throw things. Like, and not in the grass. Like, they'll come up to, like, the fence, they'll look over it, and then they'll just kind of, like, lob it over the fence onto the sidewalk. And, like, I've seen them do it with what was it? When I got my Xbox Series X. So this was a while ago now, but they've done it since then, but that was the most expensive thing. I watched a guy drop it on the ground, getting it out of his truck, because he was trying to move too much. And then fumble it while he was trying to put it down, too. And actually, he delivered it to the wrong fucking house on top of that. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like, if you're going to do the job, just fucking do it right. Like, you don't have to be perfect about it, but, like, don't be shitty about it either. Because that is people's stuff. And, like, if it's from Amazon, yeah, it's easy to get it replaced. Nothing gets, at least at my house, I don't get anything delivered by UPS and FedEx from Amazon. Amazon is either usually coming USPS or from, like, an Amazon delivery driver. Mm-hmm. So it's like, the shit UPS is delivering to me, not as easy to fucking refund, because it's probably, like, from Etsy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, this was just, like, on top of that, like, hitting the fucking fence and driving away. Like, we already called UPS. They sent somebody out, like, actually very quickly. Like, that was one thing. So, like, we have a claim filed with them. They say they're going to pay for the fence, but I also called the police and got a police report, because I don't fucking trust them to actually do that, and I'm not paying a couple $100s to have, like, my fence repaired when it's fucking their fault.
Mm-hmm. As you should.
Yeah. And, like, you know, like, if the guy had just simply gotten out of the car, come up and, like, hit our doorbell and, like, said what happened, like, wouldn't be as angry. Like, yes, that sucks. Like, I'd be frustrated that it happened, but I wouldn't be angry. But this is just like, no, you are actually a scumbag now. Like, that's a hit and run.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, like I'm generally pretty reasonable with stuff like that. Like, if something gets messed up and, like, you own up to it, it's cool. Like, I don't want you to get in trouble for that. But at this point, like, that guy should lose his job.
Mm-hmm.
If he's hitting things and then driving off, he shouldn't be in a job where he's driving anything.
And that's the thing, though. He's going to lose his job whether or not he had told you. So he ran the risk of not telling you and hoping no one else saw it. Like,
yeah, and that part does suck. But, like,
it's like he should have. Actually, it might be different if he had told you and then. But, like, likelihood he caused a moving violation accident. He hit something with his car. He's going to have an infraction on his license, and he's going to have issues potentially with his job, and potentially issues finding a new job. Now more so than before, because he drove off. But before, he still would have had an issue. If he hadn't gotten caught, he wouldn't have this issue. And it sucks, because it's the fact that labor corporations like delivery services and whatnot don't care about their employees. They just care about the bottom dollar.
Yeah, I know.
Just like most corporations. It's just...
Yeah, apparently FedEx, they don't, like, drive... Drew, I think you were there when Vogel was telling us that at that thing. Apparently FedEx drivers aren't actually even FedEx employees. They're, like, basically contractors that buy their trucks.
Oh, yeah, he was saying that.
Yeah. FedEx, you rent out your truck. That's how they get around unions, because you're a private contractor and you're not an actual employee of the company. So I don't think FedEx can unionize, or FedEx employees can unionize because of that.
Yeah. It's just one of those things, like, if I were to damage something at a client and not tell anybody, I deserve to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, like, I would not expect to keep my job if something like that happened.
True.
And, like, that sucks, but, like, that's the case of it. Like, if I broke something and could not fix it and did not tell them, like, hey, there was an accident, this happened, and just, like, left and tried to play it off that, like, I didn't do it, like, yeah, I don't deserve to have a job then. Like, I deserve to lose that job.
But, like, think of it and it's true, you don't deserve to have a job. You broke something, you didn't say anything, and it's causing damage and problems with the company. But, like, if you broke a little thing that chipped or whatever, and you had to report it, and then they fired you anyway because you broke it, that's bullshit. And, like, this guy had an accident. Like, I'm not trying to defend what he's doing.
Oh, no, I know.
I want to make that clear. Don't, like, own up to your fucking mistakes. But, like, this dude in the although unemployment actually isn't as bad as I say it is, it's just people aren't fucking hiring. In the recession that we're living in right now, I'll be 100% honest. If I accidentally do a thing that may cause me to lose my job, I'm gonna do whatever I can to not own up to it because I need my job. No matter how much I hate it, I need my job.
And I get that. Like, and I understand that's a lot of things, but, like, I don't know. I'm just less.
You're only making it worse by lying about it. Like, it's gone from a small issue to, like, major legal issue for hit and run.
Yeah. For this guy in particular, 100%, he is a hit and run. He damaged private property, and if he had just owned up to it, it would have been fine. Now he's potentially going to get fined from the police. He's going to get fired from his job. He's going to have points on his license. He's not going to be able to find another job if they find out who it was that hit your fence.
Oh, I mean, they 100% know who it is, because so to be clear, I filed a police report to have it on record. Like, I am not pressing charges. This is simply if UPS tries to, like, say they're not going to repair anything, like, I am going to use that police report and the video of him talking to Erica saying that, like, they will take care of it. And I will hire a lawyer, because that's bullshit at that point. But, like, I'm not trying to get the person arrested or anything like that, but, like, they know who it is. Like, those trucks are all GPS tracked. Like,
yeah.
My client that does, like, the donation stuff, their trucks are all GPS tracked, and they have routes for every single driver and where they'll be each day. There's no way a place small like that has that, and UPS doesn't. Fuck, I mean, like, Uber tells me where they're at. Like, if I order food on Uber Eats, I can watch that person drive around the corner.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has a GPS on them. Like, they have their phone. Honestly, even before phone GPSs, these vehicles had GPSs and locator things on them. My dad, he would have to... My dad used to come home for like 3 hours for his lunch break and then go back to work.
Which
but eventually...
fine. Like...
It's because he had a quota of deliveries to make, and if he made the quota of deliveries and then went back, they wouldn't pay him more for the rest of the deliveries, and they would expect a higher quota. So, he made his quota, he was delivering in the area, he would show back up. But, eventually they installed in their little scanners that they have tracking, and he wouldn't be able to be at home for more than 45 minutes at a time. Otherwise he would get dinged. So then he would, like, I think he would sparse out his deliveries a little bit more, and so they wouldn't get him as much. But yeah, it's friggin' labor places, like delivery places and whatnot. It's just ridiculous what they do to their employees and not care about them.
Yeah, like, that part definitely sucks, and, like, I feel bad for them in that respect. But, like, you hit and run. Like, I don't actually, like, at that point, I don't feel bad for that person anymore. Like, I would have felt bad if, like, they lost their job because they owned up to it, but they didn't own up to it in this case.
No.
Like, they left and tried to stick me with what is probably going to be at least $1,000 to repair my fence. Because, like, it's a fence post, like, and it's shattered. Like, there's no patching it or repairing it. So we have to have the fence people come out, take the panels down, remove the posts from the cement they poured, and then, like, redo a new post. Like, yeah, if it was just like a panel and it's like, it was going to be like $100 or $200 or whatever for them to just come, like, install a new panel. All right, whatever. Like, that's not the end of the world. But, like, this is like construction again. Like, and the post is no longer secure. Like, I went out and I can, like, wobble it. Like, it's definitely, like, in bad shape.
Yeah.
But all of that bad stuff aside, Rich, what's on the agenda?
We got a little bit of gaming talk with Bayonetta 3, and then I'm gonna surprise you guys with a little something, as well that I just remembered. It's gonna be short. Then we're gonna talk about, I'm a pro gamer now. I entered a tournament, and we'll talk about that. We also wrapped up the first season of Bonus Action. If you're not listening to it, finish this, and then listen to that. As well as, me and Cobb, we went and saw Thor, Love and Thunder, and then just a quick book club reminder to watch Parasite.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So I don't know if you guys saw this. I just happened to see it by, like, chance. Bayonetta 2, Bayonetta 3 suddenly got a release date.
Yeah, I did. I saw that today. Somebody posted that today, that I follow on Instagram. I thought it was already known, so I didn't make a big deal about it, but because I don't track release dates, you know this. But that's pretty sweet. And now I have to play the first two, which I own on Steam, so I'll probably end up playing them on stream in the near future.
I still have to get around to the second one, but I did play the first one, and, like, it's a fun game. Like, it's a good, like, platinum, like, action platformer. Like, it's very Devil May Cry-y. Like, it feels like that. Have you played them, Drew?
The bit of the first one.
Yeah, like, it's got that, like, you move around the level, you get into, like, essentially a battle arena where, like, invisible walls go up, only, like, they're quote-unquote invisible. Like, you see them, like, they're gates or whatever that seal you into a zone, and then, like, you have some sort of fight, and then eventually there's some, like, just obnoxiously huge boss fight that you take on, like Titan fight sort of thing. Like, where you're not really attacking, like, you're attacking a piece of something rather than the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then, like, you get scored and stuff after a level and all that fun stuff, and, yeah, they're interesting games. I'm looking forward to checking out the third one, which I have to now play the second one too, because the third one, October 27th. Not that far away.
I thought I had both of them on Steam. Apparently, it's only one was released on PC.
Yeah, I don't.
One was released on Steam.
I think
The
2 is
one,
only a Wii U game.
Yeah,
It's a Switch game also. They ported it to Switch, and
okay.
I don't know if it's still the case, but if you purchase Bayonetta 2, it used to come with a digital copy of Bayonetta 1.
No, that was the initial release on Wii U. It came with a copy of Bayonetta 1.
That is how they released it on Switch. That is how I own it.
Is it?
Yeah, I have the physical copy of Bayonetta 2, and it came with a digital copy of Bayonetta 1.
Maybe it was just a special, or a physical copy of 2 and digital of 1, you said?
Yeah, and, like, I did not buy them separately. Like, Bayonetta 2 was a gift, and it came with the digital code for 1.
Then maybe it was just the Switch version then. I thought it was... I couldn't remember
you're
Switch
right.
version.
The original Wii U release of it, if you got, like, the first run, also came with Bayonetta 1.
Yeah. But yeah, I've never played them. I've always wanted to. I've always heard they were great games. And the new one has, like, kaiju fights, which I'm, like, all 100% down for.
No, I mean, that's basically, like, they all have, like, fights that, like, it's Witch Lady versus kaiju. Like, that's a better way to describe it than Titan fights.
Yeah.
Like, there was one, like, I feel like I fought a building at one point. And then I know there was, like, a multi-stage, like, dragon fight at another point. And, like, sometimes you're, like, they have those, like, platformy aspects to some of them where, like, you're kind of, like, you're on something and you're kind of, like, dancing between them, like, avoiding attacks while you're also attacking when, like, it's time to attack, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, she's got again, very Devil May Cry, where you have your guns for ranged attack, and then you have different, like, kicks and stuff like that for melee attack. Plus, she's a witch. She's, Umbral Witch, I think is a term they use, but she gets like some time powers where you can like slow down time and freeze things and shit like that. A lot of cool stuff. It's an interesting series.
So I'm looking online. Switch, Nintendo sells, it's $29.99 for Bayonetta 1, $49.99 for Bayonetta 2, and then a digital version that's $60 for both.
Which actually, that's not bad.
No, but I already own Bayonetta 1. I got it for like $1.50 or something like that on a Steam sale.
Sounds right.
I gotta get Bayonetta 2 on full price.
I mean, check Amazon. Maybe it's on sale on Prime Day.
Yeah,
it'll be $45 instead of $49.
When is Prime Day? Or is it that's going on right now, right?
Yeah, today's the last day.
Yeah, it ends at midnight.
Okay.
Yeah, there's actually, Rich, just because you play a bunch of PC stuff now, log into Twitch and go to the Prime Gaming thing in there. There's a ton of free PC games. And, like, some of them are shit, but other ones, like, the Mass Effect Legendary trilogy thing is a free game right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
no, I was on Twitch earlier today, and I was just Xing off all of the Prime stuff. Just like, and it's all up there, like right now, Brawlhalla, World of Warships, Hearthstone stuff, Overwatch. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff going on right now, claiming like full-on games, it looks like.
That's what I mean, like the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, it was all 3 games that came out like last year. Like, that is that is free through Prime Gaming right now.
Ooh, Fishing North Atlantic.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
How much do you think Bayonetta 2 is on Amazon? It is on sale right now.
What is the normal price?
$59.99 or $49.99 on Switch Online. So
$44.95.
Richie, guess?
I'm gonna go with honestly $60.
Richie's close. It's normally $60.90 on Amazon because reasons. It's on sale for $57.95. A whole whopping $2.95 off.
Oh, I thought Richie just said it was $49.99 normally.
Yeah,
on Switch
Online.
It's cheaper to get it through Nintendo than it is to get it on Amazon.
Well, is that physical one the one that comes with the digital copy of one?
Yes.
Is it used or new?
New.
Okay.
Okay, that is different then. Yeah, that's...
Well,
I would have still been off, so
the,
I would have said $55.95.
That's the same price for the digital version of both of them together, so...
Yeah, that's silly. Like, what a sale, guys. What a sale. Yeah, like, the Prime stuff this week, like, unless you're buying Amazon-branded products, like, there aren't a lot of great sales.
Mm-hmm.
That's just Prime Day in general anymore.
You know what? We ordered a very nice coffee pot yesterday that was like $75 off.
Oh.
It'll do cold brew, and it's also got a built-in milk frother.
Frother?
Thank you. I could not get that word out.
Why were you adding an extra TH in there?
I wasn't trying to. It was just happening.
Oh my god.
Dude, it's been a long week.
It's only Wednesday, but I can understand.
Yeah. I spent an hour sitting in a hot car yesterday.
That's your fault for not having the car on and have the air conditioning.
I kept turning it on and off because I didn't have enough gas I didn't know how long I was going to be sitting there for. Like,
yeah.
I had a quarter tank of gas.
Yeah, I get you.
Because, like, yesterday was the day that I would fill my tank when I get home, because a quarter tank of gas is more than enough to get home, even with traffic.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I tried getting out of the car and waiting, but, like, there was no shade. It was just sun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Bayonetta 3 in October, which is exciting, and just so random. Like,
yeah.
No direct or anything, just here's a trailer. It's coming out in October.
I mean, I feel like they just announced Bayonetta 3 as well. Like
5 years ago.
I would have even guessed it longer than that, but yeah, that sounds right.
They just last September is when the direct they had in September is where they actually showed it for the first time in 4 years.
Yeah,
they had that trailer where like it was the big like kaiju thing, and then it actually had the mascot, like that dog costume thing from the Astral Chain series that's also a Platinum game, and then Bayonetta showed up, and that was a year ago. That was a trailer a year ago, basically letting us know that it was still being worked on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was announced if it wasn't 2017, it was early 2018.
Okay.
It was announced in December 2017.
Nice. So I was really close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we're getting it.
Yeah.
Now, Rich, you said that you had something else that you found.
It's real quick. So a few months ago, we talked about and they announced a Dead by Daylight spin-off game called Hooked on You. It's like their dating sim with the killers in Dead by Daylight. Today they tweeted out a thing not related to Hooked on You. I'm just bringing it up because we've talked about Dead by Daylight before. Today they tweeted out around 1 p.m. a teaser for the next villain that they're introducing. It's Attack on Titan crossover.
Oh, you know what? I saw you post that link in Discord.
Yeah. Which I really want to know how they're going to do it. Because, so Dead by Daylight, if anybody who doesn't know, since we don't often talk about it, it's an asymmetric multiplayer game where one person plays as the killer, the other 4 play as survivors. You have to work generators you have to work so many generators and get them running in order to go open the doors and escape while the killer is trying to kill everyone. But how's it gonna fucking work with a giant ass fucking Titan? Are they gonna downsize him just a little bit, or is it gonna be all indoors type stuff? I'm totally 100% down for this, as long as they do the villain right. But I'm also afraid that they might just turn it into just cosmetics for the survivors, and maybe a cosmetic for one of the villains, which is going to be so unfortunate.
Yeah, that does sound like a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a bummer.
Yeah. They haven't dropped any other information about it. All they did was drop that tweet. I didn't look too hard about it, but the tweet doesn't give a link. It doesn't give, a release date or anything. It just shows the crossover, and it's the Colossal Titan looking through a door. And it says, what was the caption of the tweet? The caption is, what you doing? As I believe it's the Colossal Titan, is staring through the door. But it also looks like that might be the art from the live action series and not the anime series, which live action series movies were bad. Not terrible, but
I feel like that's not the sort of series that's going to just transition well to live action because of
it had 2 movies that took place that covered the first season of the show, and I went and saw them in theaters. But by the end of the second movie, it had changed everything. It didn't really stick a lot to the source material. It didn't really I don't recall any sort of mention with the armored Titan. I don't recall any at one point at the end of the second movie, the camera flashes back and then flashes out, and there's somebody watching a TV monitor of the events that just happened at the end of the movie, and it's it kind of goes Matrix-esque, where it's oh, we found, or here's the information we need. I don't know. It was weird as shit, but I was this could be interesting. But I don't think they continued after the second movie because it diverged way too much.
Oh, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
This is just adjacent to this, anime related. I know you don't necessarily have time to watch things all that often. You should really get a trial of Crunchyroll and watch Spy X Family.
Mm-hmm.
The season, the first season is done. It's dubbed or subbed. All 12 episodes. And you would probably enjoy it a whole bunch.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not streaming every day anymore, so I'm getting time back in my life.
That's fair. But yeah, do the free week trial or whatever Crunchyroll offers. And it's 12 episodes, they're 20-minute episodes. It's delightful. And yeah, I think you'll enjoy it a lot.
I'll add it to the list. I have a bunch I need to watch. Tonight when we're done this, I'm gonna catch up on the CW shows, and then this weekend I'm hoping to at least get through Umbrella Academy, if not also Stranger Things.
Have you watched any of the latest season, or you have to watch the whole thing?
I have to watch the whole thing of both, so.
Okay.
But I want to do Umbrella Academy first, and then do Stranger Things, and then I think I want to do Jujutsu Kaisen, which I haven't gotten into, and then
that one's really good too.
Catch up on Demon Slayer. So there's a lot I need to watch, but I'm finding the time again. Gonna take another 3 days off at the beginning of August for my birthday. I might just take the full week off at this point. If I'm already taking 3 days off, I might just take Monday and Tuesday off as well.
Why not?
Yeah, like, just
the
take the whole week.
the only reason why not is because who knows if they're gonna have people cover my work and they're already not getting mad at me, but they're already constantly on me like, we need to get this stuff done. I'm like, well, no one's helping me, so I can't get it done on my own because no one's helping me.
Yeah, that
and
sounds like a not your problem.
Yeah, I got an email or a message from my supervisor yesterday saying, hey, tomorrow, meaning today, I need you to make a big push on the report that I'm responsible for that has been backed up since I took 2 days off before the 4th of July. And, like, I even let her know, like, I let her know yesterday, I'm still behind on this because I took 2 days off and have not had any help from anybody for this. And then she sent that to me last night, or at least had the audacity to send it to me last night after I just said that, and I'm just like, this is not my job, this is not my problem anymore. Like, I got 150 done today of 600. I'm like, I'll work at my pace. I'm done with this. I don't care anymore. But that's like, if I end up taking off for a full week, who knows how many is actually going to be there, or how many of them are actually going to be done properly or improperly because somebody else doesn't get enough time to train because they've never done it before. And it's just, this fucking company is horrible. Horrible! Which raised a question within some of my friend groups, which, depending on time, we'll talk about after Thor. I'll bring it up after Thor, depending on time. It's not a major discussion, but I'd like to pick your brains about it on the podcast.
Okay. Well, in that case, Rich, why don't you tell us about this Apex tournament thing you did?
Yeah, so a buddy streamer of mine, Xeno Alien, he reached out to people on his Discord, was like, does anybody want to join me for a kill race tournament, a duos kill race tournament? And so I responded, or I DM'd him, I'm like, if you're desperate for a teammate, I'll join you. Like, if you need a teammate, I'll join you. If you have no one else, I got you, boo. And so he was like, alright. And it's, there's this website, I believe it was called, like, Z League. They run tournaments, like, all the time. And it's, what it was a kill race tournament. So, you have an hour and a half to play as many matches as you can. And it takes your best 2 games across all of the matches. It compiles up your position, your placement in your team placement, as well as your kill placement. And it adds those together. And so it was me and Alien versus 9 other teams. And it was whoever got the most kills. And if you ended in first, second, or third position, you got 5 points. And each kill was worth a point. And so I was like, you know what? Sure, this sounds fun. And it's a free tournament. It's not something we had to pay to get into. Let's do it. Let's go for it. I'll try it. And it was a blast. I tell you what, it was so fun because it was a different way of thinking and playing Apex. It wasn't about just getting to first place. It wasn't about getting a clear. It was more about being not being violent, but being aggressive. And actually trying to go for those kills, which is not how I play Apex. I try to get into the firefights, but I tend to try to be the team that'll third party another team. Or the team that's just off on the edge, like, peppering the other team, to try to waste their resources and such. But it was a different idea, plus it was duos, which I usually do trios when I'm doing something like this. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun to do. And we had a couple of bad matches. Then our 3rd or 4th match, I believe, we ended up, placing second with 8 kills. Yeah, we placed second with 8 kills, which got us 13 points. And then the next, 7 matches were just bad. We were barely getting 1 or 2 kills. We were barely finding any teams or anything like that. And it came to our last match. And we were strategizing as it was loading in. And so the rules of the game, it's an hour and a half. But if you're in a match, if the match loads in and you're getting ready to drop, or you're in the drop ship, as the timer goes from an hour 29 to an hour 30, you get to finish that match and it counts. So this was our match. This was our rollover match. This was our last match. And we get ready to drop, and we're looking at the scores. One team had like 39 points. The other team had like 24 points or something like that. And the next couple of teams between me and second place, us in second place, they all had under 20. So I was like, Alien, if we can place, we'll get third place. If we can place in third, first through third, we'll get third place. We'll win third place. He's like, all right, let's go for it. This is a position match. It's like, let's do it. Ended up, I didn't realize scoring. I wasn't thinking about scoring. It was taking in 2 kills from a previous match. So it was showing us at 15 points. And I was like, oh, we have 15 points. We only need 5. No, we needed 7 points in a match in order to get to 20 to make third place. And we were able to do it and get the win with only having 2 kills and not seeing an entire team the entire match until the very end, to pull off a third place position in my very first gaming tournament that I've joined, besides GameStop, which doesn't, I mean, I guess it does count, but doesn't really count.
I mean, look, it was a tournament.
They were tournaments. I think I only ever joined one. And I always regret, or I'm always so mad at that loss of that one that I joined at GameStop. It was for F-Zero. And it was the demo of F-Zero on the GameCube. And it was a time trial based. And I was, like, by far the best racer getting into the last turn. But I had used up, in F-Zero, in that one, you had your boost energy, but your boost energy is also your shields. And so if you used all your boost energy, you had no shields, and if you got knocked, you would blow up. And I was maybe like 15 seconds ahead of the best time. And I got hit, and it took me out to third place or something like that. I was right there for that win. But like this one, like we edged out a third place win, and it was very exciting. It was very fun. It was also like I did some training with one of my other streamer friends before I teamed up with Alien, and then we did some practice matches, and just, again, it's just the talking of the strategy for a kill race, rather than just go to win. It's different.
Yeah, and that is actually, like, I didn't realize that was, like, a thing that existed.
Yeah, they actually just had the Major League finals for Apex this past weekend, and it's a very similar style of, like, a kill race type thing, so you get X amount of matches, you gotta get the most kills and get the best positioning and whatnot. Most tournaments don't focus as much on position as it does on kills, but, like, they do try to incentivize, like, trying to actually play the game a little bit. And there were times where, like, me and him, we get into a match, it comes near the end, and we haven't even gotten a kill or whatever. I'm like, should we just drop out and go to a different one? He's like, yeah, this one's a wash. Let's go. And we did. We would just drop out, go to a different one, or go die, and then go for a different one, and try to reload. And it's just thinking about the hour-and-a-half timing.
Which, yeah, that seems like if you like Apex, that seems like a fun way to, like, do a tournament, because it's not just like, oh, like, if we don't come in first every time, like, we're not getting anywhere.
Well, I mean, you could do an all-position tournament where it's X amount of points per placement. So if you place last place, you're going to get no points. But maybe, like, if you break half the team, so if you're doing a trios and you're top 10, then maybe you get 5 points. If you're top 5, you get 10 points. And if you're first place, you get 15 or something like that. And, like, you could go that route, but then if you're running a timer thing, there could be people who, once they reach top 10, all right, let's go for a new one. And, like, getting more top 10s might be more valuable than getting a first place, because an Apex match, and Drew, you can attest to this, an Apex match isn't short. If you're running for first place, that's not a short amount of time. Like,
minimum 20 minutes.
Yeah. Whereas I've gone into matches and it said within 2 to 5 minutes, hey, you're top 10. Oh, alright, we don't need to play anymore. Let's just get those 5 points and go to the next one. You could get 3 or 4 top 10s in the time that it may take somebody to get a first place.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe you should just, I don't know, get all the first places.
I'm getting better. I am getting better. Like, mostly my communication is getting better, because I know I'm not good at aiming. I'm not good at, like, tracking. There were a lot of times where Alien would pop out and he'd be like, all right, let's go over here. And it would take me, like, a good, like, 10 to 20 seconds to find the ping he made to go that way. Or, like, I'd have to find him on my map to track him. Like, I'm like, very all over the place when it comes to playing it. But I'm getting better with communicating, and I'm getting better with finding the good weapon loadouts to help me with this game.
I cannot think the last time I really even looked at the map in a game of Apex.
I still look at it all the time, just because, like, I don't take lead. I let somebody else take lead, I let somebody else take charge, and so if they're like, let's go here, let's go there, then I'm checking the mini-map to see where they pinged or to see where they went, because, like, for some reason, like, if I'm looking all over the place, I just cannot find where they're going or where they pinged sometimes. And it might be the overlays that I have set up for when I'm streaming, and it might be different when I'm not streaming and how well I can see things.
Maybe.
But yeah, it was a good time. I'm hoping to join some more. I don't know if necessarily with him. Usually he plays with somebody else, but I wouldn't mind playing with him some more. I wouldn't mind doing this some more, because, like, the winning this tournament got us credits into the Z League service, to where we can then put that towards a paid tournament. So if we do enough of these free tournaments, we could get into a paid tournament for free and potentially get free money for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really all I did with Apex. It was fun.
Yeah, that seems like it was a good time.
Yeah, it was something new. It was something different.
Well, I guess, do you guys want to talk about bonus action?
I mean, yeah, we can talk a bit about it. Spoiler free, of course. But we wrapped up season 1 of bonus action, and I'm excited. I thought I'll be 100% honest, and if we end up doing like this season end wrap up that I'm talking about with you guys, I'll expand on this more. But it did not end at all the way that I was expecting it to end.
I mean, I guess not, but also, like, I personally find it weird calling it, like, a season end.
Well, that's why, like, I wanted to call it a season. I wanted to place a season finale on this, so that to find a good stopping and starting point, so that any new listeners, like, at one point or another, we're gonna have 50, 60, 70 episodes. Like, and yes, I would love people to listen to every episode when they discover us. But part of the reason I don't like comics is because there's so fucking much that I don't find interest in finding out, like, everything to read before and after, but then people will be like, oh, well, this is a good starting point, or that's a good starting point, and then go from there. So the idea of wrapping it up into, like, a season end, this way it gives us time for a break, me time to regroup and try to reset the story, or rephrase the story, rework the story, or whatnot, as well as just, in general, giving us time to have real lives and vacations and stuff, not having to force a recording and whatnot. Like, the idea for me for a season end was to end at the garrison, back at camp. But because of timing, because of how long that final recording took with everything that happened, we couldn't get there. But with how it ended, that final recording ended, it does feel like a good, like, alright, season stopped here, which, again, for anybody who's listening, which is not, again, it's for the first time for you, you'll hear it when we say it, it's not going to change anything for you guys. If anything, there's maybe going to be a month difference in listening, because we might do this wrap up and release that in place of a normal episode, or we might just release it all in normal order. So anyone who listens to the show, you're not losing anything, but it is just, we stopped here. This is the next set of episodes will be a good starting point for somebody who's coming in fresh.
Which makes, like I do understand that. I also would just like to argue, comic books have plenty of jumping on points, you fucking savage.
No, they do. But, like, when you think about it, how many issues of, how many Spider-Man number 1s are there?
There's a new number 1 every 6 months. You can jump on at any time.
Exactly.
Every 6 months, there's a good place to jump on.
That's my point, though. Like, that's a good jumping on. Like, that's a new, quote, new season. Like, but like, there's a new number 1, which then, like, 3 issues later actually become issue 7,500, because that's how many comics there are of Spider-Man. And it's like, alright, well, they renumber it number 1 all the time to just get another restart of a starting point. But yeah, I had a blast recording this. I really did. I had a blast making this and writing this. Some of my, more inspired work was put into to a lot of these sessions and a lot of these ideas and themes that I've been putting in through the series.
It's been fun.
That doesn't sound convincing at all, Drew.
No,
Tell them how you really feel.
Shut up, Cobb. You're the one that just sits there and does nothing the whole time.
Oh, it's so boring. You guys are the worst.
I mean, you are crew. We could just find a new one. But
no,
I
really don't pay any attention.
I mean, like, I don't want to say really too much other than, like, legitimately it's been very fun playing this campaign, and characters have gone ways I have not expected.
Oh, no.
I'm not the evilest one, apparently.
I mean, you're not the evilest one, but you're the most influential? No, you're not, because you don't try to influence that much, but it's somehow influences turned Val, which is Tim's character, from the nicest girl who's just trying to fit in to probably the most devious person you'll ever meet. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it has taken a turn that I was not expecting. And some of the themes that you guys are leaning into with your characters are making it interesting for me to try to set up future events and encounters, along with trying to stick with some of the main story points that I had initially created and designed way at the beginning of creating this whole campaign, that you guys are probably at least 5+ levels from actually getting to. Like, that, a lot of the stuff that I came up with pretty early on was like mid-tier to end game stuff of like I can't even explain it.
These poor people a fucking level.
They just got a level, though. Like, that's the thing.
I swear to God, we've been level 4 for, like, 5 sessions.
No, you became level 4 when you reached the encampment, which was 2 sessions ago. You was midway through so the session that you got to the encampment, the first Durgar camp, you discovered the camp and you went to go talk, and then you talked with them and fought them, and then you got a level up between those two, between fighting them and discussing, between fighting them and then discussing about the Badland, the decaying lands, and then deciding to go to the decaying land. It feels longer because if you're listening to it weekly, in 1-hour sessions, it has been 4, 7, by the end of this episode, by the end of this session, it had been 8 hours of gameplay, which is 8 episodes, but you literally just got a level up 2 sessions ago.
So don't remember it.
Well, it's a level 4 level up. They're usually not all that great, because it's just, ASIs. But yeah, you guys got your level 4 in, because the initial plan for me, before this whole Underdark adventure, before this whole section of the adventure became as long as it did, and I wrote it out to be as big as it is, the initial plan for me was for you guys to go deal with the mines, go back to Shale Point, and then go to level up to level 4. And I was originally going to stop the season at level 4. But it took the series itself, like, like, different themes kept expanding, different ideas kept coming into play, and I designed more and more of the world, and more of the Durgar itself, that, like, I even said it in, like, around, or in the session that you guys got the level up, like, this has become a lot bigger than I initially had planned it. You guys are getting a level up earlier than I was initially planning, because I'm rewarding you with getting to a certain point. Like this you've reached a milestone. And not to say you're not getting that level 5 now that you've finished this last session. You're getting that level 5 now that you finished the session and reached another big milestone. But you just weren't getting that level up in the during this session, because it had literally been a session and a half. Less than that. A session and a third since you got a level up.
I don't know. It sounds like you're just trying to justify that you don't want to give them levels.
No, I literally just said they're getting level 5 now. I just said it. I didn't say it at the end of that because I was waiting for it to be fucking surprise, guys, and say it during like the recap or before we start into the next episode.
Boy, it's almost like you could have just not said it too. Like,
I mean,
well, you were giving them a hard time about not leveling up.
You guys are all giving me hard times about not leveling up. You're giving me hard times about not giving you magic items. You missed out on magic item, so it's not my fault. Plus, now you have a magic item that I got to fully design now. But
I have never once complained about not having magic items, because I already have +1 armor.
Yeah.
Maybe you should start complaining about not having them.
I'm about to get a fucking made-up magic shield.
And on top of that, not only are you guys level 5, but... No, I'm not going to say the rest because that's spoilery. I won't go to the rest of that. But, there are magic items coming to you in the future.
Well, I mean, that was pretty obvious, the end of that session.
Yeah, but I didn't want to say what happened at the end of the session, because it is, 4 weeks or four episodes away at the moment, so, yeah, I wasn't going to say what happened, but you guys are getting magic items as well, and you guys get level 5, which, and I mean, I have some stuff planned for, or I have like late game stuff planned. I have, at this point, it really depends on what you guys decide to do is where the story is going to continue onward with. And it's like, leaving it off where we left it off with that nice little, like, pseudo cliffhanger where it's like you guys are in a relatively safe spot and whatnot, potentially. Like, it is a good stopping point, but it's also, like, it leaves a lot open for me to have to prepare for the next session, which I'm both, like, very daunted over, but also super excited about.
Can I make a request?
You can, subscribe to our Patreon at the $10 tier, and you can put requests in there.
No, that's not part of the Patreon anything.
But we can add that now.
This is not a bad request, though. Well, it's not a bad request for either of you. If you're giving them magic items, can you give Eric a cursed item?
He doesn't need it. He already just rolls 1s all the time anyway.
Yeah, he's cursed already.
I want to see how long it takes him to pawn a cursed item off on Tim.
That's the problem. You can't. You can't. You can't.
The vast majority of the cursed items, like, very explicitly make your character not want to give them up.
Yeah, they become obsessive over them. If they lose them, they become obsessive over them to the point of...
Oh, it's like the One Ring?
Pretty much.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, are there items that would be more like just, like, cause bad luck, essentially? That, like...
Any item you give Eric is bad luck.
That's fair.
But, I mean, not necessarily. It could be something I could come up with, but the idea... As fun as that is, and I'm not saying I would never do it, as fun as that is, the idea of a magic item isn't necessarily... is more to aid your players and your characters, and not to, like, become a detriment. But they can also be silly. Like, I can give you guys a wand of fucking smiling if you want it.
True. Okay, but give Eric the wand of smiling.
See...
That item is...
The wand of smiling would be better in Val's hands, though, because he would just be so clever with it.
It's true.
Everything that I can give you guys would be really good in Tim's hands, because he's so clever with everything he does. I love it. I love how clever he is with his illusion spells and everything. And I'm really enjoying everything we've got going on with this series.
Meanwhile, you're over here praising one person, and what about Drew? Like, aren't you giving him any praise?
Drew hits things really good.
Yay!
So, what are you? You're a paladin, right?
Yes.
That's what he does, is hits things really good.
I don't know. I zone out most of the time. So, like, I only hear bits and pieces, but I was pretty sure you were a paladin. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And there was just so much combat that I was basically zoned out the whole time this time.
Yeah, it ended up being a large. So the last episode of this season ends up being almost 2 hours. I think maybe an hour and a half to an hour and 45, something like that. I'm not sure. Cobb, do you know?
Not top of my head, but yeah, I want to say all but the first part was at least an hour 15, and I think the longest part was like an hour 40.
Yeah, the episodes ended up being long, but the last one ended up being pretty much a long combat encounter of sorts, just because of the scenario that they got that Val got them in. That is just like it. I think it was like I hope it translates well into audio. That last situation. Like, I hope it doesn't just become mundane, just dice rolling. I hope it translated very well with audio. Because that's the hard part about combat. It's combat, especially when just listening to it. Oh, I go here, I go there, I do that. Like, it can be a little boring and monotonous.
Well, but with how bad some of them are at rolling, it at least keeps it interesting because you never know when someone's going to die. Or almost.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, do you guys want to move on and talk a little bit about Thor?
Sure, let's go.
Sure, y'all can talk about Thor.
Oh, you can talk about it too. You don't have to have seen it to talk about it.
There's some lightning and some jokes.
You forgot about the thunder and the love.
You pretty much got it there though, and it is my favorite Thor movie for sure. I wouldn't be able to say it's my favorite like Marvel movie, but it is by far my favorite Thor movie. And Thor Ragnarok was like top tier Marvel movie, but it was above average Marvel movie, and I think this one was also above average. Fuck what the critics are saying. Fuck what like the dumbass fans are saying too. Like, this was a good movie. And it's just, I enjoyed every second of it.
So, it's not my favorite Thor. I thought it was a lot of fun, though. Like, it was a fun movie. I thought some of it was a little too slapsticky. And the Marvel movies have been trending this way a little bit, where when something serious happens, 9 out of 10 times they end it on a joke instead of letting it kind of hang. And I wish they would kind of let certain things hang a little bit more. Like they did at the end of this one. Like, not to spoil anything, but like the end of the very end of this, the big fight was serious, and they let it actually like wrap up serious.
Mm-hmm.
But like the part before that, where he does the thing with the kids, like that could have they like. I'm trying not to spoil it, but like there was a joke they slid in there that like I don't think they needed, and I think it actually kind of hurt that a little bit, in my opinion.
Is it for temporary? Is it when he was doing the whole speech and it was like temporary?
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought it was fun up until the point when he like very quickly went just temporarily though.
I didn't. I thought that was great. I thought that was like a good throw-in line. Like, would it have changed the scene at all if they didn't have it? No, it wouldn't have. But like but the possibilities of what could happen if he didn't say that, and then that being a full-on thing, like it. I liked what they did. I liked that they did that, and I thought it was funny. I thought it fit very well there, and it fit Thor itself. Like, Thor has drastically changed. It's reasonable that he changed. He went through a lot. His character has gone through a lot. Has lost everything multiple times. And it just makes sense that he has become more of this, like, pseudo carefree, like, silly personality than as much as it's than being like the almighty Thor, the greatest in the world. Like, he's just more of like it just works with Thor and with his character development.
I don't disagree. And like I like that they found a good comedic lane for Thor, but I think they're still struggling to find the serious side of Thor, because it's not that they don't have it, it's just it's very inconsistent. Whereas like the funny side is pretty consistent at this point, even when it's not a Thor movie. Like even when it's in the other, like when he's in other films. But like this past week, I think it was FX was just showing like all of the movies that Thor was in, basically, except for Dark World. Didn't see Dark World play at all. Wonder why. But watching the first Thor again, and even the first Avengers, Thor has, like, you can see the comedy that, like, they definitely leaned into more in Ragnarok. But Thor also, like, it's hard to explain, and he almost seems smarter in the earlier movies without being, like you said, like, I'm the almighty Thor. Like, there's just something that they've kind of, like, removed from him that, like, I kind of wish they would give him a little bit of that back, but keep as much of, like, the comedy as they can.
But, and that's character development in a sense of, like, yeah, he became more of the doofy guy, within reason. Like, he was still smart in Age of Ultron. But he became more silly, and they leaned on it because their most successful Thor movie was the silliest Thor movie.
No, 100%. I understand why they did it, and I understand why they kind of, like, you could tell they definitely gave Taika Waititi, like, a little bit more, like, free reign on this one to kind of, like, do what he wanted. And, like, 9 out of 10 times, it actually worked. Like I said, I just think there were bits that were a little too slapsticky, and there were bits where the acting just felt off. In particular, there's a scene with Sif, on that frozen planet, and that whole bit just felt so poorly acted, and both of them are much better actors than that scene portrayed them as.
I can understand what you're saying with that scene, but at the same time, like, it might not necessarily come with the character, but it comes with the, I'd be weird to say, but I'll go with, like, maybe the culture of the character of, like, because of what was going on with Sif, like, she was being overly dramatic. And, like, you gotta think of it this way. She's being overly dramatic because of what she wants, because of the culture of their character. And then Thor had to turn around and be like, well, technically.
But it's not just that one bit of it, though. It's that whole scene, I feel, is just... And it's not what they're doing. It's the actual acting just doesn't feel as good as, like, every other scene they're both in. Like, and not just together, like, just in general. They're both better every other time you see them in the movie. And it's like that one scene, it almost felt like that was like a reshoot, and they didn't have time, so they only got one take on it.
And that's possible. That's 100% possible. But, like, that one scene, I can get what you're saying, but it didn't take me out of it. It didn't lose anything on me for it. It to me, it honestly fit a little more. It fit, in my opinion.
But you also, like, you seem to have enjoyed the comedy more than I did. Not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just, I would like more balance. Like, this movie just this movie went too comedy for me.
But I'm sorry. Do you want fucking Superman, though? Like, that's the thing about Thor, is Thor's fucking Superman. Like, he's unstoppable, nearly unkillable. Like, you want serious, you want Man of Steel, or do you want fucking silliness and fun? Like, I don't want seriousness.
You can balance it. Like, it's not impossible to balance that. I don't want a slapstick comedy, is what I'm saying.
I don't see it. I don't think the comedy was overdone. I really don't. I feel like it was, based on the story of what they were trying to tell, it was well suited. With all the god shit and how ridiculous the gods are, with how ridiculous the character Thor is. Like, I don't think they leaned too far. Like, somebody complained about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because during the scene with the Illuminati, Captain Carter said, I can do this all day. And somebody got mad at the fact that they had her say that, and it was the dumbest, cheesiest line. But this entire movie, Jane Foster is trying to find her superhero catchphrase. And, like, I thought that was, like, it was silly. It was like, okay, that works. Like, she's excited to be a superhero. She's excited to be alive. She's excited to do this stuff. Like, find her catchphrase. And like, I just, to complain about something like this.
So that's the thing. Like, I didn't think that was bad. Like, I'm fine with that. And I think you're misinterpreting me as saying this was a bad movie. I'm not saying it was a bad movie. I did not like the comedy the way you liked the comedy. We have two different opinions. That's all.
But I'm trying to.
You're coming off very defensive and almost angry that I don't have the same opinion as you. So I just wanted to like clarify. Like,
no,
I enjoyed the movie.
I'm angry that people say this is the worst Thor movie.
Dark World is the worst Thor movie.
I'm angry that people are turning around saying that this movie is a major flop and that Taika Waititi should never be allowed near Thor ever again. Taika Waititi has much better movies than Thor Ragnarok. Taika Waititi is, I believe, an award-winning, maybe Oscar-winning director and writer and shit. He's a great fucking filmmaker. Don't take him away from Thor, because then we're gonna get Dark World again.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think, like I said, I just think there needs to be a balance. Like, I think what he does is actually super fun. Like, he does the fun part really well. I think he hasn't like landed the more dramatic bits that Thor should be. Like, the first movie is not perfect, and it has plenty of issues with it. But I think it had out of all of the Marvel movies, some of the best, like, serious bits. And I mean, a lot of that, like, they had fucking Anthony Hopkins. Like,
they had Russell Crowe.
I mean, I don't like Russell Crowe. I think I don't think he's very good in things.
Russell Crowe is fantastic.
He was very good as Zeus. I really enjoyed that whole...
Russell Crowe is very good at everything he does. I've never watched a Russell Crowe movie and thought he was bad at that movie.
So, I'm gonna be honest, I could not tell you a Russell Crowe movie right now.
Master and Commander?
Never heard of it.
You've never heard of Master and Commander?
No.
It's got boats.
It's a great movie.
Oh, I know what movie that is. Never saw it.
Robin Hood?
The Kevin Costner Robin Hood?
No. Russell Crowe was in Robin Hood.
Didn't know that.
There's like 1,000 Robin Hoods, and the only good one. Alright, there are two good ones. It's Men in Tights and the Disney one.
The Kevin Costner one is okay, but like otherwise you're not wrong, Drew.
It's okay, not good.
Okay, that's valid.
Friggin' Gladiator?
I was gonna say, isn't he the main character in Gladiator?
Yeah, he's Maximus
I never saw Gladiator.
Meridius in Gladiator. Oh my goodness.
Never
What's
wanted
wrong
to.
with you? It's such
apparently
a good
really
movie.
good.
It is.
Isn't it? What's his name? Who's that really like up his own ass director? Scorsese? Is it Scorsese? Ridley Scott. It's Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
Like that. Like not that like the movie is bad because of that, but I just know like I knew it was one of those directors that's like up their own ass about like what they do and like what movies are. But yeah, I just no part of me was ever in. You know what I think it is? Like I don't think Russell Crowe has ever done a movie that I have given a single shit about.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
I'm actually trying to find his filmography right now.
I mean, he was in Les Mis.
Never saw
Man
it.
with the Iron Fists.
Never heard of it.
Yeah,
You've never heard of the Man with the Iron Fists?
No.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
I've heard of the Man with the Iron Mask.
No, the Man with the Iron Fists was an action movie. I believe it was like a Wu-Tang movie. Or Wu-Tang had something to do with it. RZA directed it and wrote it.
Oh, and Eli Roth.
Yeah. I've never gotten to
vaguely
see
remember
it.
this name.
I don't think I ever got to see it, but I heard great things about it, and it blows my mind that you've never heard of this movie.
I vaguely remember that.
A Beautiful Mind?
Yep, never saw it, never wanted to. Oh, that's right, he was Jor-El in Man of Steel. What a great fucking movie that was.
The 5-minute part. You're basing his entire filmography on a 5-minute part of a bad movie.
He was also Dr. Jekyll in the fucking Tom Cruise The Mummy movie.
I didn't even know he was in that.
Neither did I. I forgot that was a movie, to be honest with you.
I didn't, because it's been an idea of mine to put it on, to do that and the original Brendan Fraser, and talk about them.
I mean, the original Brendan Fraser ones are, well, the Brendan Fraser ones are great. I'll watch The Mummy and The Mummy Returns anytime.
And Richie, are you really shocked you didn't know a movie that had a $20 million box office?
What? Which one?
Oh,
Man
wow,
with the Iron Fists. Like, no, that is not like some mainstream known movie.
Dude, I saw trailers for it nonstop when it came out.
Really?
I saw commercials for it, trailers for it nonstop. It was super hyped. Like,
well, then it fucking bombed hard because, like, literally, it made $20 million. Like,
off a $15 million budget, which means
Crowe, a $30 million budget, really, because probably double it with advertising if it was actually advertised that much, which means it lost money.
It does have quite the cast, like Richie said, like
Russell Crowe, Lucy Liu, RZA, Like, and those are just like the actor.
Dave
Bautista's in it. Like, those are just the actors I know.
Chung Lee is in it.
Like,
it's got a 51 on Metacritic.
Hey, there was a sequel apparently announced.
But since it made no money, of course they fucking didn't make the sequel.
Oh no, direct to DVD. It was released in 2014.
Oh,
2015.
all right, fair.
Does not appear to have any of the same people in it, other than RZA.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, had never heard of this before. But yeah, I just think it's one of those things like Russell Crowe doesn't do movies that I care for, so I've just never watched one.
all right, screw Parasite. We're watching fucking Gladiator, man.
No, thank you.
That'll be my next choice.
Ugh. Let's see if it's
Dude,
available.
it's a great movie.
Isn't it like a 3-hour movie?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's that long.
2.5 hours.
Okay. That's still
That's one
longer
of those
than I
movies
thought
where,
it
like,
was.
I've seen scenes from it, and like no part of Gladiator has ever looked even remotely interesting to me. You know what it is? Like, I don't think I like the type of movies that like Ridley Scott makes. Is the thing. Like, not that Ridley Scott's a bad director. He just does those like kind of like big like epic movies, for lack of a better term. And I just don't think they're not for me.
Because Alien is very big and epic.
No, but like it is in a way. Like, yes, it's confined, but like I prefer Aliens over Alien.
But wasn't that also Ridley Scott?
No, James Cameron, who was also up his own ass. But
Yeah.
that's beside the point. That's why I said, like, I don't think Ridley Scott is a bad director. I'm not saying his movies are bad. I'm saying, like, his movies don't have an appeal to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't really watched. I don't really know what Ridley Scott has done.
So he did Blade Runner,
which we all know I didn't like that.
He did Black Hawk Down,
which was a really good movie.
Never saw it. He did Thelma and Louise.
Never seen it.
He did the Martian from 2015, which did not.
The Martian is amazing.
Didn't like it.
What?
Book was better.
Oh my god! But without comparing it to the book, how was it?
I actually did not enjoy the movie all that much, and I read the book after I watched the movie.
Oh my god, it's such a good movie.
Like, the book is really good. I really enjoyed the book. And, like, I am generally not one of those people who's like, oh, well, like, the book is better. Like, I like the Harry Potter movies just as much as I like the books. Like, yes, the books did things better, but the movies also did certain things better. In this case, like, I didn't particularly care for the movie. Really enjoyed the book, though.
Ridley Scott did the Robin Hood movie that has Russell Crowe in it as well.
Okay, so it's probably a bad movie.
I mean, 7. 6.5, 7.
I, like, legit didn't even know that was a thing, and it was only 12 years ago.
I mean, Man with the Iron Fist was even more recent than that, and you didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, but that was a $15 million budget. Fucking Robin Hood was a $237 million budget.
Jesus.
It made $321 million in the box office, so it probably made at least a little bit of money. Man, movies are wild. And, like, it's crazy that, like, Ridley Scott's name gets him that budget.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that's nuts. But, like, good for him. Like, good for him for being able to do that. Like, and like I said, like, I don't think his movies are bad per se. I don't like them. Whereas, like, Richie's opinion on Thor Love and Thunder, it's wrong.
No.
No, I'm kidding. Like, that movie had a ton of really, really good stuff. I will say, and this is not make it a bad movie. It did not make me dislike it. I was a little bummed that, and without spoiling anything, they kind of set it up where Jane wasn't just worthy of Mjolnir. And I really liked that part of the comics of her being worthy of the hammer.
I can see how, like, I didn't take it that way. I can see what you're saying, and I totally get it, and I can understand being bummed about that, but I personally didn't take it that way. Like, it's because you don't want to spoil things, you don't want to throw down spoilers. Like, I don't think it was necessarily she wasn't worthy, but, like, I don't know. She never tried to lift it before. So
she was not. We don't know that. They apparently lived together for like some amount of time between, I guess, the Dark World and Ragnarok.
But like on screen, you never saw her try to lift it. No.
But and like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, like it is not a huge deal. But like the way it's portrayed in the movie is based on the standard worthiness of Mjolnir. They kind of circumvented that with her in a way. And, like, I'm okay with it. Like, it didn't, like, break it or anything. it was just one of those, like, I liked the idea of this character who, like, didn't really have that sort of presence in the movies before, or in the comics. Like, Jane was never that kind of character in the comics. Being a person that was actually worthy to lift the hammer the same way Thor, Captain America, Beta Ray Bill are all worthy of lifting the hammer. But, like, they at least kept, like, she was... And, like, this could be slightly, like, you could look at this either way. She was better with the hammer than Thor was, in a lot of ways. Part of that is probably because, like, she could, like, the hammer was shattered. So, like, she was able to, like, do those, like, cool, like, break apart things with it.
And I feel like you'll see Thor being very similar with the hammer as she was.
Actually, I think it'd be cool if, like, Thor couldn't do that. Like, if that was just one of those things where, like, that is just not a thing that... Like, that is not how he fights, so it's never a thing that he tries to do. Because, like, he's Thor, like, he is very much the blunt instrument hitting things. And, like, while Jane had that power, that would never necessarily be her first instinct, because without that hammer, she is a, you know, a 5'3", 105-pound, like, frail human.
Yeah.
And, you know what, they kept I will say, they kept a lot of, like, that comic book run kind of intact for this. Like, there are little bits and pieces that they obviously had to change. But like in the comics, Thor and Jane are not any sort of romantic couple. They haven't been for decades. Yeah. But, like, they still kept the idea that, like, Jane had cancer and all that stuff, and, like, kind of how that plays out there. I think the only thing that the comics kind of did differently was Thor didn't find out that it was Jane for a very long time.
But I mean, like, they had a 2.5 hour movie. Like,
well, they had a 2.5 hour movie, and because this movie was kind of, like, quote unquote a romantic comedy in a lot of senses, you couldn't, like, it would have actually hurt this movie to play that, because the audience knows who it is. Like, in the comic, you did not know it was Jane. Because much like she physically transforms as much as you can physically transform a person in the movie. Like, when she is Jane Foster, she has short, dark brown hair, and she's sick. When she's Thor, like, she is taller. She is the same height as Chris Hemsworth as far as, like, that stature goes. Yeah. And she has longer, like, blonder hair. That's what they do in the comics. Like, she is a small, frail, like, person. Like, she actually doesn't have any hair without the hammer because she was going through chemo. And then when she gets the hammer, she gets, like, that same mask thing, but, like, grows 2 feet and, like, gets long blonde hair. Like, nobody knew that was Jane Foster.
Yeah. I will say, the thing I hated the most was Thor's fucking costume.
The one that, like, he put on after he got back to New Asgard and, like, saw Jane's and, like, he's like, well, I can do it too.
Yeah, like, it was too perfect. And it was, like, too shiny, and it, like, it didn't fit. None of it fit, and it looked too fake. And, like, the whole time, I'm just sitting, I'm like, they didn't need to do this. They did, he's overcompensating, he's trying to show that he's winning the breakup, whatever, blah, 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 the whole rom-com bullshit. But, like, they didn't need that. They didn't need the costume to be so bright. And it's like, even when, like, he had the helmet and that expanded and got bigger, and I was just like, no, like, it doesn't look good.
Like, and that was some of the stuff that I meant where, like, that was, like, they were leaning into that for comedy, and, like, it wasn't needed and didn't work, and there were better ways they could have done a scene like that, and had it be both funny and meaningful.
But, like, my problem wasn't him putting the costume on. My problem was the costume in general just didn't look good.
I mean, I agree, it didn't.
He wore that for the rest of the movie, minus the helmet. He wore it for the rest of the movie, and there were some scenes that it kind of, like, did fit a little bit, did work, but for a vast majority of the movie, whenever, like, the times it looked the best were in the darker fucking scenes, when they were in the Dark Realm, or when they were, that last scene with the kids, like, that's when it looked fine. But when they were in brighter areas and brighter locations, when they're at, fucking God City, like, it looked bad. Like, everyone else looked fine. All the rest of the shit in there, this whole CG world, everything looked great, except his armor. Yeah. And, like, I wish they kept him. Jane's looked good. It did. I feel like, yeah, it looked good. But, like, I feel like they should have just kept him with his fur armor that he had on the ice planet. That was an amazing costume. They should have just kept that. But...
Or just given him something a little more akin to what he's had in, like, the previous, like, Avengers movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, those costumes looked both traditional Thor, but also worked. Like, yeah, that one, like, it was, like, the initial scene was played as, like, a joke because he was, like, kind of compensating.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, they just kind of ran with it as, like, what he wore the rest of the movie, and it's like,
I absolutely loved what they did with Stormbreaker the entire time. Like, I thought it was dumb, but I also thought it, like, it worked, and it was worth it, and I enjoyed it a lot, giving, like, Stormbreaker its own personality, basically.
Yeah, it was just weird because, like, they kind of gave both hammers a little bit of a personality in, like, a way, but, like, they'd never done it before, so it was almost out of the blue, but, like, it was, like, kind of expected at the same time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I also find it weird that, like, Stormbreaker, for whatever reason, has the ability to control the Bifrost, but Mjolnir doesn't.
Well, that's just because the way, like, when it was created, the dwarf even said it has the ability to control the Bifrost.
Oh, I don't remember that from Infinity War.
No, in Infinity War, he says it has the ability. I think the way he said it, I don't know the exact line, is like, it even has the ability to control the Bifrost. Whereas the hammer imbues the powers of Thor onto whoever wields it and is worthy. Thor doesn't have the ability to control the Bifrost. It's Stormbreaker. It's Heimdall.
And so
mostly Stormbreaker, yeah.
And remember, Mjolnir, at least in MCU, only bestows the powers of Thor because Odin told it to.
Yeah. So,
and that's in the comics for the most part too. Like, Beta Ray Bill, like, lifts the hammer and gets the powers of Thor, and Thor turns back into Donald Blake.
Yeah. So, like, it makes it. It's in canon. It was written in Infinity War that, like, that's how he was able to get to Earth during the fight with the Black Order, is because they create this weapon and he uses its ability to control the Bifrost.
That, and you know what, that tracks. I didn't remember that from Infinity War, so I'm just like, I mean, I get, like, he's the Allfather. Like, whether he is technically the king of Asgard or not, like, when Odin dies, he becomes the Allfather. Like, he gets the powers of Odin, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, him controlling the Bifrost, like, not, like, that big of a deal. But I just thought it was funny that, like, he can't do it with Mjolnir, and I had missed that bit in Infinity War. Two last things. I don't know if you realize this, but apparently the little girl is actually his daughter.
That's Hemsworth's daughter?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And then I don't know if they're going to do it, but with the end credit scene, like the actual one, like at the very end, I hope that they go in the direction that they're going in comics right now.
I have no idea what that means, but I like what they did with that very end credit scene. Like, I like what they did with that character in a whole, with all of that stuff incorporated in the end credit scene. I think you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it I'm trying not to go full spoiler here. The movie's only been out for a few days, a week, barely. But, like, it proves something different than what, like, you may believe, or it proves, I don't know. It's hard to explain without actually spoiling it, but it's just like
I kind of understand what you mean. I
liked what they did with that. I really did. I enjoyed it. I thought it worked very well and showed, like, one of the many themes that they were showing with this. Like, it's true with what they were showing here. It's like, it was really good. I really liked it. Yeah, and so what I meant was, I guess they have a bunch of different options. Like, that could just be what it is. It could just be kind of like the end credits and, like, it's not leading to anything. But anyone that has seen the movie and, like, is reading Marvel Comics, like, there is a direction that they could also go with that character that would actually be kind of neat and, like, would make sense in the MCU based on what we know about, like, who's around in the MCU. Yeah. I can explain it more when we're done recording. It'll take like 30 seconds just so it makes sense to you who I'm talking about. But no, like, it might be something I was talking about before that like with a buddy of mine, or just something I had in my head. That scene may have implications for other characters that weren't involved in that scene that a similar thing has happened to.
Possible.
If you get what you probably know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I believe so. But yeah, like, just like to wrap up Thor, it was good. Like, it was fun. I was not bored throughout the whole thing. I have my complaints, but it was still, it's better than Thor: The Dark World. I'd say it's better than the first Thor too. But I liked Ragnarok better in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Though, like, it was nice to see, like, certain characters. Like, it was nice to see, like, Jane again. And, Selvig and Darcy, even if it was only, like, brief scenes.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about, Gore. I thought Gore was the best villain in honestly, probably in any Marvel, in any MCU. Like, he had his motivations, his push, his drive, and, like, his story in general was, in my opinion, probably the best, if not just one of the better villains that the MCU has incorporated.
Yeah, you know what? They actually did a really good job with him, and it was very much a character where it's like, the character wasn't out there to do it for themselves. They weren't looking to get something. It was very much like a vengeance thing that was corrupted by the power that they got.
Yeah. And I will say also, like, the ending wasn't what I had expected. I was thinking they were going to do something else with that, but I'm glad they went this route and not the route I was expecting.
Yeah, and the route that they went actually does work, because, like I said, there's two different ways they can go with it. They can kind of leave it as is and let, like, that be the end and let, like, the story just go in its natural progression, or there are other stories they can bring in from the comics that actually, like, fit this really well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and it did say at the end of the movie, Thor will return. So,
yeah.
I don't know whether that means a fifth Thor movie or if we'll just get, like, some other, like, team movie down the line.
He's gonna be in the Christmas special, you know that. He's gonna teach us about Viking Christmas.
I mean, you would hope so, but who knows? We don't know where that takes place at, like, with this, basically.
Yeah.
Because, like, we know Guardians 3 will have Zoe Saldana in it.
Mm-hmm.
And since she was not with them in, like, the minor spoiler, like, she wasn't with them in Thor because they're not going to have that plot point wrapped up in the Thor movie.
Yeah.
We know that there's at least some sort of, like, time gap between, like, them and Thor parting ways and, like, that and, like, the third movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was enjoyable otherwise. Now, Rich, you said there was something else you wanted to ask us about?
It was just more of, like, a silly thing that me and my friends were talking about, because I was complaining about my job in one of the other streamers' Discords and how, like, shitty they treat the employees and whatnot. And somebody asked, like, are you searching, because if things are going bad, you might want an exit strategy and whatnot. And I said, yeah. And they commented, let me actually pull up exactly what they commented back. Because, it made me laugh and then it made me think. She said, well, we're all here if you need a sounding board or professional references because we all are collaborators and coworkers for an independent businessman in the media field. And it got me thinking, Twitch on my resume. And then we discussed it a bit, and, like, it kind of could work because we're independent contractors for Twitch. We run our own channel. We do promotions. We do advertising. We do collaboration, scheduling, whatnot, and things like that. We do I can't remember what other things, like, people said, or there was a word in my head that I can't remember what it was, but, like, it's just like, do you think it would be silly if I threw Twitch on my resume while looking for jobs?
I would say you probably cannot put Twitch on there.
No, I've looked on, like, I mean, technically I can, but
technically you can put whatever the fuck you want. But if they were to, like, actually look into it and, you know, contact someone at Twitch and they went, nah, that person never worked here, that looks bad on you.
But, like, that's the thing. Like, it would be, I would have to put, I'm self-employed content creator through Twitch.com. Like,
and so
that's...
I think that works. Like, like, putting, like, digital media content creator and then, like, the bullet point underneath of that is, you know, like, weekly, like, or like, I don't know how you would word it, but, like, you know, regularly scheduled streams on Twitch, like weekly podcasts, like that sort of thing. Like my resume has OneQuest on there.
My resume has had one quest on there in the skills. But at this point, technically Twitch is a job because I get paid for it.
I've listed OneQuest as a quote-unquote, like, as a job on all my stuff. It's on my LinkedIn and all, too. Like,
yeah, like, I had OneQuest, I have OneQuest listed, and I actually used to have, like, a Katsucon listed also.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's a bad thing to put on there. Because, so while you're making money off of it, you're not making taxable income yet, theoretically. Like, I think you get taxed for the payout, but, like, you don't have to claim it on your taxes.
I mean, I'm taxed as self-employed by them, so it's like 15%. It should be taxed properly, but for what I'm reading, like, I am technically taxed as self-employed, so I'm paying, like, a business tax as well as an employee tax.
But I think because you're technically, like, an independent contractor, like, you should be taking some of that money and putting it aside for income taxes, but you're not making the, like, $3,000 a year or what have you. So I don't think that counts. But having it listed somewhere on your resume, I don't think is a bad thing, especially because of like what you want to do. Like having that, like you have skills in digital content, like that's not a bad thing. Like, because even if the job you're applying for doesn't necessarily need that, if you work, if like you get a job at some place that maybe like has like a social media team or like a marketing team or something that like you would rather like work over there than maybe like whatever like bullshit it is you do now. Like you could use that as like I manage social media for myself for this digital content that I do, and like, you know, like it does add something to your resume. It adds like flavor to it.
Yeah, like 100% you should list content creation stuff on your resume. It's just like, don't make it look like you worked for Twitch, you know?
No. It's I've already done research in it, and everyone's like, make sure you put self-employed or contractor through Twitch, self-employed through Twitch, something like that. Because, I would be like, you know, content creator, self-employed, and then as bullet points underneath for like your tasks or whatever, you know? Like that would be where like weekly live streams, YouTube, or you know, weekly posts. Somebody said it, like, put it like self-employed content creator, and then put your Twitch link underneath it. So your whole twitch.tv/b_walnut. It's like
this doesn't
put it
sound
all there.
Like it's something directly off of.
It's not that you work for Twitch
or for Twitch.
Yeah.
Because some companies, the people reading that stuff are not going to understand what you mean by it. Like, they're not going to understand what streaming on Twitch is. Mm-hmm. They might see Twitch as, like, a job location and assume that means that you worked there.
Right. Yeah.
And, because, like, a lot of people that are in HR and hiring they still skew older and they don't understand the internet.
Mm-hmm. People don't know.
And you just don't want to be caught in that weird situation where, like, somebody's reading your thing. It's like, oh, I see you worked for Twitch for a while. And it's like, no, I stream on Twitch, buddy.
Oh, you're a liar. Okay, we won't ever call you back.
No, I mean, look, but I've been told. Adds flavor. We had a question on Brose, and it was because this was an interview question somebody was recently asked, which are, give me 10 uses for a pencil that aren't writing. That was the question. That's how it was worded. And at one point, somebody was like, "Well, for doing etching, for like the shading etching," and somebody was like, "But that's writing." Isn't like, well, no, technically that's drawing, that's art, that's not technically writing. And they turned around and was like, "Well, then you know what? Because you technically went and broke the rules, I technically wouldn't hire you." And I'm like, "No, but that's thinking out of the box, which is what you're looking for in this question. Because I'm also attention to detail, and the detail of the question is writing." I'm not sitting here writing, I'm drawing, I'm doing art. And there's a difference there. And I'm like, well, that's just, no, you're breaking the rules. I'm like, that's not breaking the rules. That's, if you didn't want writing, if you didn't want art, if you didn't want drawing on there, then you should have said drawing. No, you said writing. 10 different uses of a pencil that aren't writing. So, apparently, I overthink too much. Or I people wouldn't hire me because I quote break the rules. It was a silly bit, but anyway.
Yeah, but so, like, your question, like 100%, like you should like fit that into your resume in a way that makes it like just like amplify what skills you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I've been thinking about how to add it on there. It sucks because the whole rest of my resume is all corporate legal fucking bullshit, and now it's like, all right, adding self-employed Twitch streamer, which is just how do I fit that into my resume? My resume is already a page and a half, which people want it to be a page. So
yeah, but definitely do it because it's not going to hurt anything by just simply saying that, like, hey, like, I work 40 hours a week and then also work on my own content.
Mm-hmm.
I also work an additional 20-ish hours a week doing this stuff and that stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, like definitely do it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all. It was just a silly conversation. I was like, "Oh, this could be an interesting conversation we could have on here." See what you guys think. But like, yeah, I've had one quest. I think I also might have Brose on there. I might have taken one quest off for a while. I also at one point had 2 resumes. And it would be depending on where I'd send it to. Like if I was looking for more of a legal job, I would send the one that didn't emphasize one quest and Brose, but if I was going for something more media based and related, I had one that like, but it was always in skills. It was never actually in the job portion or references portion and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, like that. I understand that, but I think that's probably going to be a show.
Yeah.
Great. Well, next week we have our book club where we are watching the 2019 movie Parasite, if I remember correctly for the date.
That
Definitely Parasite.
Right.
Yeah. And then other than that, if you would like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also find us on... I'm sorry, that's wrong. So you can find our content at www.one-quest.com. You can also help us by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. But if you cannot support us there with your dollars, you can always support us by going to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, all the places. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of those things help a whole bunch. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo. And you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And then, Rich, what's your streaming schedule look like, and where can people see it?
So I'm back to Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sundays. However, next week on the Friday the 22nd, I am doing a special We Reach 200 Followers stream where we're going to do some Mario Kart, maybe some Among Us with people. If you want to join us, if you maybe open lobbies with the Among Us. I haven't fully figured it 100% out, but we're going to be doing some of that next Friday to celebrate me having reached 200 followers. And then like 2 weeks later is my birthday celebration. A lot of stuff goes on in the summer, man.
Well, congratulations on 200.
Thank you.
Question for you.
Uh-huh.
Why do you say Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, and not Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday?
Because it's just the way I plan my weeks. I don't know fully, but it's when it comes to the promotions I run, like when I'm doing for the what's it called? The guessing the theme of the Funko Pops. It is the new pop comes out on Monday, and then Tuesday, and then Thursday, and then you have Sunday to guess all of them. And it just like I was always a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, but then like the last day always changed, and so it kind of just became Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday.
Okay,
plus
also Sunday is the last day of the week. Monday is the first day of the week. Get the fuck out of here with Saturday being the last day of the week.
Every calendar starts on fucking Sunday.
No. Not every calendar. Only in fucking America.
Financial calendar.
And where do you
actually
live,
Monday.
you son of a bitches?
The
financial
world.
Calendars,
I live in the world.
You live in America, and you better be proud of it.
So some financial calendars actually start on Monday. My job's work week scheduling is Monday through Sunday, whereas my previous job's work week schedule was Sunday through Saturday. So if you worked extra on a Sunday, that would go into the next week's overtime. So it's like it's different for a lot of places, but for me, it's just I've always started my week on Monday. It's the weekend, not the week. It's the weekend, not the week beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Sunday is part of the weekend.
No, but Sunday's the day you dread because it's the last day before you have to go back to work.
Because it's the last day of the week.
Nah,
Yeah.
That's the first day of the week.
No.
Then you're dreading Saturday because Sunday is the first day of the week, and it's like, oh, great.
No, I'm not dreading the first or last day of the week. I'm dreading Monday. I got a case of the Mondays.
Because the new week starts on Monday.
Nah, first day of the week, Sunday. That's how the calendar tells me. Why don't you guys go back to your metric system?
Fine.
Honestly, that is actually the right move. I wish we used the metric system, but
yeah, if you go to fucking Canada, they use metric. If you go to Mexico, they use metric. It's just us. So if you're driving your car and you're driving your car in Canada, it says kmph.
It does, and then we would be confused because who the fuck knows what that means?
Some cars actually have both miles and
almost all cars.
Yeah, most cars do.
Yeah. But it's funny because then, like, you'll watch Top Gear and some shit was a UK-based show, and they go off of miles. This has X amount of miles to the gallon, or this is X amount of miles horsepower. I don't know. They usually say miles instead of kilometers.
Or, like, if you watch the Great British Baking Show, and they're all, like, sweating and scared that their chocolate's going to melt because it's 32 degrees out.
I had somebody on a Discord complain that it was plus 30. And I'm like, that doesn't sound that bad.
It's like, I think that's what, like 82 degrees or something like that?
Something like, he's Canadian, so it's still, 82 is not that bad. Not like today where it's fucking 900 degrees.
Yeah, it was warm today. But I think that'll be a show. So, thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll be back next week with something else to talk about. Bye.
Bye.
See yous.